So we've had about, you could say 5 inches of rain the last 2 weeks. So quite a bit of moisture. We just pulled the cattle off here 2 days ago. We just want to show you guys some of the structure of this soil. And once again, there's been no added fertility since the late 80s. So this is all just what cover crops and the impact cattle has on the land. You can see underneath the residue that we just has been tromped down, there's still residue from last year's crop that's breaking down. So you can think of that as fertility that has fed this cover crop that we just grazed. So first thing we notice too, the earthworms in here. Now if you look right there, that's some serious earthworm activity. That's what's burying holes in the ground to allow us to get that infiltration rate up to 13 inches an hour. If you have good earthworm activity, that's usually an indicator that everything else is becoming in balance. They're kind of at, you could say, the top of the soil food web. If you've got good earthworm activity, the rest of the biology is usually in balance. Another thing I like to point out, we've had over 5 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks. This soil's wet, it's saturated, there's a lot of moisture in here, but you can see that it's not sticky. You know, my hands aren't, there's a little dirt on them, a little soil, but they're not, it's not that clay slickness that we usually see with wet farm ground. So yes, it's saturated, but you could work this ground. You could plant right into it today.
Absolutely.
And it'd be just fine. The other thing is the aggregation. You know, that's like black cottage cheese is what I like to say. That's that biology that's gluing these soil particles together, the sand, the clay, the silts, and creating larger aggregates. That's soil stability. When we're talking 5 inches of rainfall in an hour, what's going to keep your soil from running off your fields is the stability that's inherent in biologically diverse soil. So even if I take a little piece of this and I squeeze it in my hand pretty tight, you can still, you just see it just breaks apart like that. So once again, that soil's sticking to itself. But you know, that many earthworms, that's nutrient cycling.